Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of the internet. It's Rock and Roll Spot Connection with a weekly comic book roundup. We're going to kick things off with this week's X-Men books, and there's actually a decent amount. We're going to start. Initially, I was going to start things off with the new issue of Uncanny X-Men, but for reasons that will become very evident, we're instead going to start things off with Age of X-Men Omega. So, where we left off in the Age of X-Men. It was basically coming down around everyone's head. Nate Gray had been found out, and not everyone was entirely happy with that. People were beginning to remember their previous lives, and once again, not everybody was entirely happy about that. So we begin with. The first few pages are narrated by Nate Gray. He tells the X-Men just what he's done, and we see glimpses of the others. But by and large, it's, like I said, you've got Nate telling the X-Men what he did. The glimpses we get are, we see the Extremis attack a diner, though an Iceman helps a kid out in the diner. He then takes the kid to the Summers Institute. And at the Summers Institute, there's a news story being done about how it's so large yet creates zero waste. Then we cut to the ongoing riot in the danger room from Prisoner X. It turns out that the danger room is in the middle of the desert. Back in New York, the X-Men and the Extracts meet, but then Beast, Bishop, Honey Badger, Moonstar, and Polaris arrive. They're the car that they had Polaris basically fly. And the battle royale, the fight begins. Laura, or X-23, and Honey Badger are reunited. Polaris runs into Magneto and calls him Dad, and he doesn't recognize her. Informs her that his children are dead and he's never seen her before, which actually infuriates Polaris in that Nate, because, well, yeah. And they see in one of the rifts Prime reality. And the question now becomes, how is Moonstar both in the Prime reality and Age of X-Men? It turns out that Moonstar and X-Men are linked. I'm presuming this comes from his time with the New Mutants. But she's a part of X-Men, a part of Nate. And a lot of what happens is them being chided and a lot of him being chided for taking away everyone's relationships. Though he counters with, relationships define the X-Men, but ultimately pervert their cause. That he summons forth the life seed and tells them to take it. As it's what started everything, and it's the key to ending it. And if they want to end everything, then they have to plunge it through his chest. None of the X-Men, however, want to do that because, killing is not really their thing. Magneto, however, he volunteered. He steps forward. Volunteers to clean up the X-Men's mess once again. And then portals open in front of various characters, including Blob and Psylocke, Glob Herman. I think that's. I'm guessing that's supposed to be Hisaka Armor, Anole, back in the Danger Room, Megan, Angel. All of them reverted back to their classic outfits, but they stepped through. Magneto saying he'll go, opting to go last, but he and Nate discussed things, and turns out Magneto's torn about things. Part of him wants to go back. That his story must return to its original form. Part of him knows that this plane of existence is where he belongs. And Nate tells him that he can have both. And so he walks through, and then the Age of X-Men Magneto, the other, basically the Age of X-Men version of Magneto pops and shows up, basically taking the place of Apocalypse as being X-Man's confidant. So it's time that they start anew, properly this time. No secret police, no false prophets, no X-Men, no tyranny. And X-Man says, and let us begin with a simple question. What would you sacrifice for your dreams? We end on a quote from Henry David Thoreau. This curious world we inhabit is more wonderful than convenient, more beautiful than it is useful. It is more to be admired and enjoyed than used. And that is where the Age of X-Men comes to its close. Moving on to Uncanny X-Men number 22. Where we left off, Emma Frost, using a modified version of Cerebro as well as a boost to her telepathy from longtime pain in the ass Fabian Cortez, wiped the knowledge of mutants from the minds of everyone on the planet. We begin with a conversation between Cyclops and Emma. Simply her saying, "We did it." Scott telling her to get out of his head. And her going on to say, but it's over. It's what we've always been working for. This is our future. This is forever. Because you really think we won, don't you? In Central Park, Cyclops is feeding birds and squirrels when he's visited by Danny Moonstar. And he talks a bit, and he kind of says he never he never had a plan for what to do when the war was over. So but they talk a bit, and she explains that the difference between the two of them is that Cyclops sees it as they lost soldiers. She sees it as losing sisters and brothers. Havoc comes out and they talk a bit. It turns out that no one can see their powers. Havoc fires a blast straight into the sky and no one sees it. And it turns out the scar on the side of Emma Frost's head was from where a bomb was cut out of her skull. And so Emma's making sure everything is according to plan. However, Wolverine has come to and killed Sinister and is about to kill Emma, but gets stopped, and as Cyclops and Havoc are returning to the Hellfire Club, Sentinels arrive. Sentinels that seem to be created from Technarch technology. Technarch technology. Basically like Warlock. And Havoc really lets loose and explodes, sacrificing himself, pissing me off further. But General Callahan shows up. Apparently he's got a helmet to keep mutants out, to block telepathy. So, Emma erasing mutants from his mind doesn't work. But that's also when we learn that the bomb was removed from Emma's skull. So his Warlock Sentinels arrive, and Warlocks, the combination of Warlock and Jamie Madrox, attempts to bond with them and to reclaim the pieces of himself, and is promptly killed for it. This, of course, puts the X-Men on the offensive, and it's clear that Callahan's one in control, so Wolverine goes after him with the help of all the Madroxes. Well, Madrox makes a bunch of dupes that draw fire from the Sentinels, while Wolverine goes after Callahan and does what Wolverine does. And from the sounds of it, all the Madroxes are now dead. And just as they're about to turn to finish off the Sentinels, the X-Men arrive. Storm, Magneto, Archangel, X-23, Beast, Colossus, Glob Herman, Nightcrawler, Storm, all of them. Armor, Iceman, Bishop, Psylocke, Northstar, Shadowcat, yeah, everyone's all there. And out of all of it, when the last Sentinel falls, Jean walks up to Cyclops. Jean Grey walks up to Cyclops. And the two kiss. With Wolverine and Emma Frost was kind of sulking about it, but, you know, hey. But turns out as long as the Cerebro helmet that Emma had made exists, no one knows about mutants. So no one's really clear what's happened here. But Cyclops decides that Cyclops destroys the helmet. The future of hiding is no future at all. And that is where the issue ends. And next week we begin Jonathan Hickman's run with House of X #1. That'll be make for some interesting stuff, that's for sure. Moving on to X-Force #10. Where we left off, the team had managed to rescue Cable, but as his powers had basically been nullified, the technovirus spread, and including to his wife, Aaliyah. However, on the plus side, the other members of X-Force managed to free Rachel Summers from being Strife's prisoner. So they managed to free. So Cable manages to take control of the technovirus, awakens Aaliyah. Turns out that the only member of the clan chosen to survive was Tetherblood. Back with Phoenix, Prestige. She faces the other. She gets a rundown of what's going on with X-Force and fights Strife and his Mutant Liberation Army. It doesn't go well for Strife. Also, Prestige manages to turn all of the transient mutants against the Mutant Liberation Army by basically explaining, yeah, Strife's the one who killed your friends and tortured you, and so, yeah. And Boom Boom destroys Zero. And Strife goes after Prestige, but it does not go well for him. She is, after all, part Phoenix, so yeah. She's stopped from killing him, though, by Cable, who explains that the thing he basically Strife has. There are many things Strife still hasn't done at this point, and he kind of needs to do them. Otherwise, the timeline will be irrevocably changed. So she agrees to, fine, Strife will live. And they also, after they defeat the Mutant Liberation Army, it's decided that Prestige and Cable will erase all knowledge of this from Strife's memory. Then they head back to the past. Shatterstar has a moment with the young Cable, saying, hey, look, I gave you a lot of grief initially, but I see now you are the man that but you are Cable. So yeah, my apologies, and forgive me for not believing. And then but Cable also goes into the future with the past with X-Force, at least for the moment. He also has to. After all, there is a lot of stuff he still has to do because Cable. And that is where the series ends. Moving on to Deadpool number 15, and this is also the last issue. I was actually kind of surprised. I thought, but Scotty Young's run, the Scotty Young Nick Klein run comes to an end with this issue. Where we left off. Oh boy. So, Weasel, Deadpool's longtime tech guy, friend, died back during the Deadpool Assassin miniseries. And while in hell, he decided to, he basically, he became, well, him and Mephisto got to know one another. Mephisto said, hey, I'll send you back to Earth with, hell powers, and you can, but you gotta do something for me. That something was basically raise up a young man who'd been orphaned by Deadpool and send him against Deadpool. Basically turn the guy against Deadpool, which he did. It was Goodnight. Eventually, Deadpool beat Goodnight. So we start off with a bachelor parody where there are various people waiting that Deadpool has pissed off, and the idea being who's which one of them is going to get to kill Deadpool. Is it going to be denizens of Weird World? Is it going to be Santa Claus? Who knows? He wakes up though. In the end, Goodnight shows up though and kills everyone else. And then Deadpool wakes up in a kiddie pool. And then the water in the pool starts to boil. And Mephisto pops up and drags Deadpool to hell. And he explains what the whole shtick has been. He wants Deadpool to be his personal assassin. He's just like, nah. But then Mephisto, jerk that he is, undoes the mind wipe that Deadpool gave himself at the end of Despicable Deadpool. And he remembers his daughter. And he gets a look at how the future turns out if Deadpool takes the job and becomes a badass hell assassin. But it turns out that if he doesn't... Oh, and he also learns he has 2 kids. But it turns out that if he doesn't, what's going to happen is Goodnight is going to kidnap Ellie and train her to become Hell's assassin, because someone's got to take the job. And so he kicks Weasel in the nuts, jumps through a portal to Ellie's backyard, and beats the crap out of Goodnight. And making a point to tell her, Violence is never the answer, to do as he says, not as he does. They hug. He talks to Ellie's mom. Mephisto and Weasel show up, and he decides that okay, he'll take the job. And Weasel gets his humanity back, but this means no more hell powers. A week later, Weasel's buying groceries, and it turns out he went to the one grocery store that does not take cash. But it turns out he doesn't have a card, so, you know. But, yeah, Deadpool shows up. Because, well, Weasel is still used to having hell powers, and he was going to use Hellfire on the clerk. But, yeah, Deadpool got fired. But Deadpool also covers Weasel's grocery bill. But yeah, just Deadpool's too damn talky for Mephisto. And so he got fired. And that is where everything ends. But fret not, this is not the end for Deadpool. No. For example, next month we get Absolute Carnage versus Deadpool. So, you know, there's that. And it's Deadpool. They're not just going to say, yeah, we're not doing comics with them anymore. No. They got plans. Next up, we've got Domino Hot Shots number 5. Last book for the video. So where we left off here, Domino and her team had found the creation constellation, and they fought off and killed the doctor who had been exposed to it and was turning into a celestial at his request. But it turns out that his assistant and lover didn't take too kindly to that idea, and so she shows up pissed as hell about the fact that they killed him. So they all band to get Domino, Black Widow, Domino's posse. They all come together, and it does not go well for them because, you know, they're up against a Celestial. And however, White Fox shows up with the creation constellation, and she gives it to Domino, who starts to go celestial and basically gives herself the power to take on, as she's calling herself, Gun the Executioner. I'm not sure how it would actually be pronounced, so yeah. Taking a guess. And so Domino dukes it out with Gun. I mean, dukes it out. I'm not, you know, no energy blast. No, this is as she puts it, fist to fist and claw to claw. And then the posse, as well as White Fox and Black Widow, jump in after her. And yes, Domino saves the day. And then basically has that moment of, okay, you know, there's a name that every mutant knows, a name that no one ever, you know, almost never says out loud. But it's the name that represents power gone wrong. Dark Phoenix. And so that's what convinces Domino to give up the power of the creation constellation. And she arranges to have the constellation buried in vibranium. And it turns out there's also a coaster. There's a crooked orphanage in Costa Rica that needs to be torn to the ground. And so that's where Hot Shots comes to its close. Good series. I'm going to miss Quasi Month. I'm going to miss seeing Domino often. I actually really like Gail Simone's run on the character. And I'm hoping that there's another Gail Simone written Domino miniseries coming up, but we'll see what happens, I guess. Anyway, that's all for right now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I put new content. This is links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal are in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying, live long and rock hard.